I don't know how the title came about. I think someone just went, I can relate. And then we said, oh, yeah, we kind of say that a lot. And then we're like, oh, that kind of worked.
Okay, Devyn, whatever you want.
Awesome. Hi, guys. I'm Devynn Lejean. I'm just going to...
Stop you.
Oh, got it. Awesome. Hi, guys. I'm Devynn Lejean. And today on I Can Relate is we're going to talk about why our voices matter. And we have Rory here today to tell us a little bit about his story. And all of us on this podcast kind of decided to have him on here because we all thought that he would be an amazing example of why voices matter, not only because he's a teen, but also because of his story and what he advocates for. And I know what he advocates for and kind of what his message is, a lot of people can relate to or have seen it. So, Rory, we're just going to ask you a little bit. I guess the first question we're going to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you advocate for and what your message is and why your voice matters.
Well, that's a lot of questions, but thank you for having me. As you said, I'm Rory, and I guess I think the bottom reason why the voices matter is because everyone comes from a different background, and we don't get to see the same things in each other's lives unless we share them. So sharing our own perspectives and our stories helps people, I guess, realize that there's more to life than what they've seen, and also become a more holistic person.
I love that. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about, I guess, your story. Yeah.
Okay. So my story is a bit tough, and it used to be really hard to share, but I've gotten better at it through time. And so basically a week before my freshman year, my mother committed suicide via overdose. And it'd been a long road coming. She had multiple sclerosis, which is a brain degenerative disorder. So we were battling with things in the family a long time. And when she passed away, at first, my freshman year, I was overwhelmed. I didn't really want to do anything with it. I kind of kept it bottled in and just got on with high school and just pretended I was a normal kid. And then it went like that for a while. And then my sophomore year, a kid in my school that I didn't even know very well, but a lot of my friends knew, committed suicide. And it was a really big deal. Our school rallied behind the message of mental health at that point. But up until then, I was too scared to share my story. But then I realized, I guess it's more important for me to share my story than to, I guess, be uncomfortable. So I just decided that I'd create my own club. And I called it ASAP because I'm bad with names, and I wanted to do something as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. And so we got together, and it started with me and just my friends who wanted to support me. And we decided to create a mental health week, which is like a week-long, I guess, like spirit week, but themed for mental health. Mm-hmm. And so each day we had a separate event. The first day was yoga. We had a professional yoga instructor come in the gym. And then we had a day where we handed out sticky notes with candy. We had over 1,000 sticky notes. It's pretty cool. And then we also had the choir give a performance, and the band played for us. So we really helped to rally the school and also getting teachers involved to help spread the message, following something that impacted every single student in the school somehow. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I'm here today because I realized that my voice matters, and I want to help other people realize that too.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I relate to you a lot because last year I think it was 2018, I want to say, my best friend actually killed himself. So that was super difficult for me, and Chidera can even talk to you about that, about me handling that situation. And I was going to ask you a little bit about that. Did you kind of feel a lot of change in who you were as a person and personality-wise?
Right. When I explain what my freshman year was like, I kind of think I grew 4 years in a couple days. And since then, I've been a lot more mature, and it's come with its benefits and with its drawbacks. Mm-hmm. But I'm definitely grateful for the strength it provided to me in my life and given me the opportunity to give back.
Yeah, absolutely. When that situation happened, I see myself, I've always been a very confident person and a very optimistic human being. Which I think are definitely my two main qualities. But when that happened, I really kind of became super insecure in a sense, and I guess I continued being happy, but it wasn't genuine. So I think that after about 6 months, I really tried to change and realized that I have to pushed to be myself again, and I think that really helped me realize like my voice matters, and those are like important traits to have, and then those are kind of like changing traits for other people, and like me implementing that can help not only make my words matter but also other people's as well. So
Yeah, well, I guess my voice matters more because you have me here today, so thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. This is Chidera. So, Roy, I know during your freshman year, you explained that was a really hard time for you and you're just going through a lot. So, how would people in general be of aid to you during that time? How would you describe a friend at that time who could really help you?
Yeah, and at that time, I didn't really want to talk about it, and I didn't want to talk to my friends about it really, but it meant a lot when they were there for me silently, and I guess that means that they were there unconditionally. They were there like no matter what the situation was. You know, they'd come to my house and they'd bring food, and their parents were helping like cook for my family, things like that. Just going out of their way to make sure that even though they didn't want to talk, that we were not talking about it, that was being communicated that they care, and that they were there for me.
Yeah, well, I guess kind of basing off the friends thing, I just think it's super important to, I feel like we're getting a little bit off topic, but to realize, like, be aware of what's going on with your friends, because I didn't tell her about what was going on with me those couple months, but she knew, because we had a conversation, I think, in May, I want to say, about what was going on with me, and she's like, I knew what was going on with you the entire time. So that's just, like, I think it's just super important to, like, understand and, like, be aware of, like, what's going on with your friends and stuff.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important is that sometimes your friends might seem like they're a little bit down, and you might feel like that's your fault, or that for some reason they're not talking to you because it's something you did. But it's important to keep in mind that it might just be that they're going through something extraneous to you, and that just to keep an open mind and not, I guess, be scared of the emotions that they're experiencing.
So I don't really know anybody personally that did that, but my aunt, I guess she is personal. Never mind. That sounds really bad. But
No, but I get it. Like, you didn't know her very well. Yeah.
She wasn't close to me, but she was really close to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw the impact of kind of what it had on her, and I felt really bad that I didn't really understand it as well as I did, because I was probably like 10 or 11 at the time. So...
And Rylee, I can definitely relate to that, because I know during the time that our friend Eric passed away, I wasn't as close to him as Devynn was and the rest of our debate team. So I remember just the atmosphere was just really off for a really long time, and I couldn't really feel the same emotion as everyone else. And I kind of just felt even bad in that sense that I didn't have as much of remorse because I didn't really know him that well. But just I really learned during that time how to really just be there for people while they're going through a lot and during a time of tragedy.
Wasn't even like that too. It's just the fact that I didn't know what to say in that time, and then I became super hyper aware because it's like it happened to somebody and nobody saw it coming. How do I know to keep aware of that so I can prevent something like that? And I've seen people talk to friends like, hey, I think I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, I don't know what to say or do. So do you have any advice if you've done?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that's really what got me into it. I have a lot of friends who, struggle with mental health, and I believe truly that mental health is something that everyone's going to have to deal with one day in their life. Every day, or everyone probably is going to break a leg or an arm sometime in their life, even if they don't want to. So I think it's the same way, like, eventually all of our parents are going to pass away, hopefully, before us. Well, not hopefully, but you know what I mean. And so the point is, there's going to be a hard point in your life. And so I think that just developing skills and a communication path with your friends that allows for open dialogue of issues that serious is key for making sure that you can identify, I guess, like turning points, because it's difficult to talk to a friend about their outside life, outside of school. You don't do that very often. But if you get in the habit of it, you become a lot closer as friends, and you also, I guess, can become a lot closer when it comes to like issues, so you can spot things and, I guess, be more reliable.
It's an interesting way of putting it. I don't really know what to say, to be honest. I've got a lot of things to learn about this, so I think it's cool that you're here today to talk about this. I know I did a little research coming in, and I found out today actually that when one suicide, there's usually 100 to 200 attempts later from other people surrounding the one person who did die. And I think that's pretty crazy to hear, just because I think that one person didn't realize how important they were. But then the fact that 100 to 200 people just knowing them, or knowing someone who's dealt with that grief and stuff, if they knew that before they tried to commit suicide, that would be crucial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of situations where you may see like change in certain friends. I guess with my friend that died, I did see a lot of change in him. And I know it's hard because a lot of us are teenagers, and a lot of us, I know for, speaking for Chidera and I, are always busy all the time. And sometimes I just, there's certain situations where I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, he's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. Just as like there was like some drug use, and like I was like, okay, well, it's not the end of the world, because it was weed. So I was like, okay, it's not terrible, but obviously when it's excessive and it's all the time, that's probably something I was like, I should have said something, or but that's kind of something that I had to deal with for a long time, because I saw certain actions that he was doing, and I was like, that's like not okay. But I was so busy that I kind of was like, it's not that big of a deal in a sense, because I would never think that person would ever do something like this, because he was always like happy. And so I feel like that's something else. Like, don't beat yourself up over situations like that, because it's just not something that you can truly control at the end of the day, because either way, if I did say something or not, like, who knows what could have happened. So
Okay, Roy, so I know grief is something really hard and really like prolonged to get over. So how would you describe your process of getting, like, I know even to this day you might be still going and enduring that pain, but how would you say you have overcame your time just dealing with everything?
So I think one thing that was really interesting is my family dynamic. And I grew up with a sister who's the exact opposite of me. She's super creative. She wants to be an artist when she grows up. And I'm more of a logical, like, math guy. And so we dealt with grief completely differently. And so she wanted a lot of outside support and counseling, while I was looking for a lot more of, like, just time for myself to think and process, and just having, like, gentle support and just knowing that there's people there for me. And then the thing that really got me through it was all the activities I do, keeping involved. I do cross country and track, and staying physically active has really helped me, I guess, keep my mind off the darker side of things, and keep my, I guess, body on track, because when you're dealing with something, it can kind of build and build. So even if it's a small thing, it gets bigger and bigger until eventually you don't know what to do with it. So just having an outlet to release the grief has been something that's been most beneficial to me. But it just depends on each person, and I'd really say each person should try to find the way they get past stress themselves, so that when it comes time to deal with something as big as that, they have the skill already in their back pocket.
Do you think speaking up about like your story and what you've seen around you impact you personally with your grief, and just besides others, I guess?
Yeah, so the first time I shared my story, I was crying, and it was sad because it was in front of 100 plus people, so it was difficult. But at the same time, it helped me realize and get over it, and realize it, it's true and it's actually happened. It helped me get over it and come to terms with what my life is now. And when you come to terms with your life and what the positives are, what's happening, it allows you to move on much easier, because if you're stuck in denial, if you're stuck in regret of something, it's much harder to look forward.
So Roy, what would be the best advice you would give to other teens who have endured the same situation as you?
Right. So I've met a couple teens that have had similar situations to me, and when we meet each other, we hug, and we know internally that's something that we can't explain. But I would say just make sure that you're keeping in touch with your friends. It's really easy to get drawn back and become scared of what you're going through, and you want to, I guess, hide from your friends. They might know about it, so you don't want to talk about it. I'd say just keep talking, just keep getting over it, and stay strong, because it's not easy and it won't be easy, but it'll make you stronger. And so just, I guess, keep going.
Absolutely. Kind of like the regret part, that's something I had to deal with for quite some time. And then I just kind of realized, like, what can I put my regret into? And I think what I do now is even with people I'm not like super close with, I still try to make sure and ask like, how are you? Like, what's going on with you? And I've noticed like a lot of people actually tend to vent to me a little bit more, or even surprised that I even asked them that question, because sadly it's not a question that even people's like best friends ask them every single day. Like, and I think that's just something important, that when you're dealing with regret or grief, to put it into a more positive light, or something that you can actually work with, because that's just something that's a daily thing that I do now, is just ask people how are you, like, how are you doing, how's your day going, how have you been, because sadly it's not something that people hear often or on a daily basis.
Yeah, so one thing I heard when I was at this group that was talking about mental health and how it works in a family specifically, one thing I heard was make sure you keep asking your family how they're doing and how their day was every day, just to make sure that even if you don't notice it, they can talk about it, because keeping that door open every day is really important. So it's really good that you're doing that with your friends, because if they had something bad happen and they didn't know who to tell, that means that they can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that keeping a strong and open relationship with your family during this time is really important to your growth and being able to just
heal?
Yes, heal.
Yeah, I think family's always going to be an important part of my life, and hopefully most people's lives, because family's a really difficult one because it changes for each person. And for me specifically, I live with my sister and my dad, so it's a small community, but to me it's been a strong one, because my sister, and my dad both went through the same process, so we were grieving together, and so we were rebuilt together. So staying strong with your family and making sure that even if the ties aren't like easy, that they're strong, because me and my sister argue probably every day, but we love each other more than most brother and sister probably do.
How are you and your sister able to help each other heal and be there for one another during this time?
So it's awkward because we have the opposite coping strategies. So really we kind of lend each other time in each direction. And so she'll give me a lot of free time when I need to cool down or something. And I'll give her a lot of my time to help with homework and cooking, and just make sure that she has someone to talk to removed from her school life, so that if it's something that she doesn't want to tell her friends, she has someone to tell.
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you can go ahead.
Okay. I relate a lot because I actually kind of have the same household as you. I live with my dad and my sister as well. So having being able to be there for my sister is super important. She's also a freshman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Be there for her is super important, and just she also didn't really know my friend very well, but she was also super supportive of me, and it was really beneficial to not just have someone. I think it's super important to have someone not in your family to talk to, but also extremely important to have someone in your family to be able to communicate with. And even though she's super young, it's still super amazing for me to be able to communicate with her about, especially during that time, since it was super hard for me. It was super amazing being able to talk to her about what was going on with me.
I know what you're talking about, and I know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, support your sister?
Oh, yeah. So our mom really isn't in our lives. So we have a lot of amazing aunts and grandma and my grandmothers who are just amazing role models for my sister and I. But I have kind of had to take on the mother role for her a lot of times. So just being able to use my knowledge and being able, being a junior in high school and just knowing how to maneuver through high school and what not to do and how to act and how I conduct myself and my principles that I have, and being able to give that to her is super important to me. And that's kind of what I try to do for her, is to really carve a path that I wish, my brother, when I was a freshman, he was going to be a senior, but he moved, and I really wish that I kind of had someone, or my sibling there for me. But once again, he moved, and not a problem. So I kind of made it my goal when she was coming into her freshman year and I was coming into my junior year to kind of carve a path for her for success throughout the next 4 years of her high school career.
That's funny that you described it like that, because one time someone asked me to describe my relationship with my sister, and I said a very awkward, manly mother, because I tried to fill that spot too.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not best suited for it, but I do my best.
I mean, it is really difficult, especially, interacting with my sister sometimes. Some people may be you guys are like super mean, or like, but it's like, no, like you don't get it. Like I have to be your mom, so you wouldn't understand. So absolutely, like our relationships are definitely different with our siblings because, you know, not having certain role models or things that like it seems like normally like a majority of people, especially surrounding us, have, you know, my relationship is very different with other people's siblings, and you know, I have to be your mom. I have to make sure that she, you know, eats and brushes her teeth, and that's just stuff that a lot of siblings like wouldn't even think about asking. So absolutely, I get what you're talking about for sure.
Yeah, sometimes she yells at me for getting on her about homework.
Oh,
even
yeah.
my dad doesn't. And
Absolutely.
She's like, why are you mad at me about homework?
Yeah, because you know, our parents are not, you know, my dad owns a company, so he's not always, he's an amazing dad, but he's not always super on top of everything. And, you know, I have to be kind of on top of everything, and I have to make sure that she, you know, my dad's also not a woman, so he doesn't think about everything all the time, so I have to be on that. So, yeah, absolutely, like, our just relationships with our siblings are very different, so I get that for sure.
Roy, so during times of just feeling down or like depressed, what motivates you to keep pushing and keep advocating your voice and what you stand for and your beliefs?
So I think I'm a pretty innately driven person, and I think it comes from my passion always, because I'm a very empathic person, and when I see people going through things, it makes me feel bad, and it makes me feel like no matter what, you know, I can help them, because even if they like stub their toe, I feel like it's my job to try to help them. So just seeing that there's others that I can help has always been motivating to me, and just knowing that there's always some impact I can make on the world. So even if I'm down, if I can, you know, go talk to my friend who's also down and make him feel better, that'll make me feel better too.
Do you ever still feel like sad or depressed from that situation with your mom?
So I think it's kind of residual. It's kind of like sometimes I'll be at my friend's house and they'll be talking with their mom, reminiscing about something, and it's just like this pang that, you know, you can't really explain, but and it's not really even painful. It's just like a loss that you know you can't ever get back, but it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. My mom is still in my life, but she's just not like there. So I completely get what you're talking about. But yeah, definitely with me, there is sometimes I'm normally fine like 99% of the time now after the summer. I really healed a lot, but talking about stuff like this now gets me super emotional. But yeah, I definitely relate with that for sure.
Have you noticed like different conversations with your peers because of your situation and just talking about it?
Yeah, so actually I'd say it's crazy. I think my friendship and my friend group has actually like shifted, I guess, around me. And so all my friends, you know, involved in my club somehow, and I can consider them all advocates for mental health now, and it's because they support me. So I think, you know, if you have strong friendships, I think they're two-way streets, and so if you're going to be supporting them a lot, then they'll support you in what you want to do. And since what I've been doing is mental health advocacy, I think I've have a lot of friends now who are just as fluent as I in the dialogue.
So thank you, Rory. That was awesome. Honestly just implemented the idea of like why my voice matters, and especially this you talking about going from your friends to your sister and stuff that you did in your school just reinforces the idea that our voices do matter. It doesn't matter that we're teenagers or not, or what age we are. That is super amazing, and really just once again re-implements the idea that our voices matter. And I want to thank you guys as well for coming, and this was really, really awesome and amazing, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad that you're spreading this message. I think it's an important one.
Okay, I want to thank Rory again for that interview. That was pretty awesome. Remember, guys, we have Rylee and Chidera here, and now we're having Olivia and Hudson come in right now. So,
I'm Hudson, and yeah, I'm here. So, our voices matter, and Rory really made a wonderful thing. Like, he created the club, and he did all those wonderful things to find support for others and support in all ways with grief and stuff like that, which is just incredible. And to have a teen like our age speaking out and advocating for things that have happened that may or may not be grief or anything like that is just incredible, because we are the teens will be the future of the United States and all the world. Someone's going to be the president one day.
Probably not one of us, but it's okay.
Actually me.
Well,
someone a teen now. They were a teen once, at least. So, teens have a voice, and it's, whether you like it or not, it's gotta be heard, and we gotta make a change. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Hudson. I feel like this is a great way to get out there and to talk about what we want to talk about. And I feel like this especially is something that we all need to talk about, because on one level or another, one way, we all can relate to this, whether it be mental health or losing someone to suicide. It's just a really important thing to talk about, and I'm just so excited that we got an opportunity to do this.
I can relate.
Something that did stand out to me is whenever Rory said that his friends really like backed him up and decided to become advocates with him. Do you guys think like in like our like little societies at school, like that it's kind of an uncomfortable thing to like comfort a friend who's having mental health issues or dealing with something?
I don't. Honestly, I don't think it's difficult. I think it really depends on the other person that you're trying to help. I know there's certain people that don't want help and don't want people to help them, and I completely get that. There's people who like to keep their problems inside and deal with them themselves, and that's kind of how I am as a person. I like to deal with my problems by myself. But I don't think it's difficult to go to someone and say, hey, I see you struggling, let me help you. And if that person says no, or that person denies or declines, then all you can say is like you tried to help. But I don't think it's difficult, and I think that's what maybe a lot of people kind of get confused with or think that it's difficult to help someone, but it's really not.
This is Chidera, and kind of going off of what Devyn said, I kind of agree to disagree. I would say that even during the time that Devyn was going through a lot of hardship when our friend Eric died, I couldn't really just walk up to her and be like, so you're hurting, like, how can I help you? Like, that's just not obviously proper way to go up to her and help her. But I think during that time, it just, for me, was kind of difficult, because I'm like, how can I be the best friend I can possibly be while trying to make sure that my friend is okay? And I think you really just have to, it just depends on your relationship with your friend and how you go about dealing with issues and situations and how your friend is. And you really just have to react to their way of living, I would say, and just kind of just be there for them in the best way that you think you can be. And honestly, there's not a specific way to be there for your friend, but just let them know, like, hey, I'd always say this to her constantly, like, hey, I'm always here for you if you ever need anything. So that in itself is just a great starter to like assist your friend, I would say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, go on.
No, you're okay. I was just going to say I 100% agree. Like, I have a friend, and I know sometimes that she struggles, but she's not one to talk about it because she deals with it better on her own, and I get that. And I just feel so bad whenever I can't do much to help except for be there for her and take her on car rides and take her to concerts, just to try and make her life seem positive, even though I can't always be there for her. So I feel like it's important to know the person enough to know, even if they aren't coming like right out and saying I need help, to know like do things that kind of will help them without them exactly, feeling like you're like making them feel like a burden or something like that. Because no one should ever feel like it's an issue to like ask for help or just to need a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I think too it's important. I think it's important to define what is help, because help for each person, like grief, is different for everybody. I know for me personally, if someone's to help me, they can give me space to process whatever I'm going through. But also it could just be a distraction, because that may not seem like help to you, but for other people it could be like, I've been thinking about this all day, but you gave me a break to think about something else, whether it's the concert or the car ride. You just gave them time to process and understand that better and just take a step back from whatever they're going through right now. And also it could just be listening to somebody. I know it doesn't seem like a lot but for someone who does not like to talk about it, just listening to whatever they're talking about, whether it's their day or their dog or a bunch of fish or cookies or whatever it is. It's just listening to make a huge impact on a person.
Right. I agree with you, Olivia. I feel like there's some sort of sense that people think that they have to go above and beyond to like be there, be like Superman and just save the day in a sense, but just really being there for someone, like whether or not just listening to their conversation or listening to them talk to you and having a conversation with them or just taking them to a concert. I feel like any shape of or form of just being there for them is definitely beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of us should understand and know that there's like what all three of you guys have been saying, that there's other ways to help people. There's multiple ways to help people, and that's not just sitting down with someone and conversing with them about what's going on with them. You know, kind of for example with Chidera, when I didn't really confide in her for months, and then the summer came around last year, and we hung out every day, and I kind of finally like sat down and talked to her towards the beginning of the summer. She and her saying like, yeah, I knew what was going on with you. It was a lot more beneficial, I think, for me not to talk about it to her right when I was feeling, you know, so sad after that situation happened, because I am a person that likes to deal with my problems by myself, and I don't enjoy conversing with other people about what goes on with me. So it was really like there's just multiple ways to help your friends, and not even just your friends, other people, you know, like you said, going to concerts and, you know, even going to dinner and stuff, and like even just listening to people, because there's a lot of people who don't want advice, but they just want someone to listen to them and be able to vent to. So absolutely, there's not one right way to help someone with what they're going through.
Personally, I'm like you said. I'm kind of the rant person. I don't rant. I get ranted to by most all of my friends, and empathy can be difficult sometimes. And just saying, "Hey, I'm listening. I'm here," is very beneficial for their mental health and whatever's going on. And I've just gotta say that.
No, but absolutely, I get that. Whenever, you know, something goes on with my friends, like one of the first things I really like to say, especially this happened actually the other day, when someone confides into me about an issue, I say, do you want advice or do you want to vent to me? And I think that's super important to ask, because not everyone wants advice. Not everyone wants that. People just want to be able to vent to someone about what's going on with them.
I'd take that one step further and probably just ask, how can I help you, instead of, do you want to talk? Because some people just need to sit in silence and think.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Absolutely. This was awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And the bottom line and the common denominator that we're all trying to get here is, no matter what you're going through, where you come from, what you believe in, that your voice does matter. Especially the biggest thing is it doesn't matter how old you are. So just understand, after this podcast, you know, we hope this gives you some inspiration to speak your mind and, you know, be able to not be scared to speak about what you believe in, and to advocate for your principles, and to be able to help other people as well, to understand that your words matter and that you matter.
All right, and if you guys want to hear more from Rory and more about his story, you can visit 0 Reasons Why on Instagram or 0reasonswhy.org.
You have been listening to I Can Relate with hosts Olivia, Devynn, Rylee, Hudson, Mallory, and Chidera. I Can Relate focuses on youth mental health and other relevant issues. The podcast is a proud member of the Fredcast Network, and you can subscribe on most any podcast app. If you would like to participate in our discussions or pose a question to the panel, reach out to us at icanrelate@gmail.com.